to me nice. Talk to me honestly. Look in my eyes. Don't let it fall on me. Say you a good guy. Make me believe it. Don't wanna hear it. I wanna see it. See how. Rewind. When we rewind, it feels so nice. We time. You, I know how.
Yeah, I know. I got in a little early, but you know what? I couldn't wait. Good morning. Excuse me. Good morning. How you doing? It's Tuesday on the Morning Night Live, and oh my gosh, there's just so much going on. But I'm going to give you I'm going to start the show with some just news of the day, and then we're going to get into this article about an obsession. And I had to laugh when I read about this. Yes, by the way, it's still Freedom Week as far as I'm concerned. I know the 4th of July was last week or the beginning of last week, but I'm leaving the fireworks up for a while because it's Freedom Month. And also, if you weren't aware, it's also White History Month, according to Jesse Lee Peterson. He started that about 4 years ago. I thought that was kind of funny. But, some people would say every month is White History Month. Anyway, I don't know why I brought that up, but it is Freedom Month, the 4th of July month that we should celebrate American freedom. And I feel as free as any other American, despite my enhanced melanin status. So welcome to the show, and we'll get into a little more about that after the intro. Johnny, please play the intro.
Ladies and gentlemen, coming to you live from the Lucky Dog studio in a hidden location somewhere in the upper Midwest of the United States of America, it's a brother making his own way but with all the wrong opinions. Welcome to the Morning Night Live with your host, yours truly, PDawg Knight.
And stop the music. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Morning Night Live. I am your host, Dawg Knight, Marty, whatever you'd like to call me, I will answer. And welcome back to the Dawg Knight Channel. It is Tuesday, the 13th of July, 2021, and I am ecstatic. Is that how you say that? Ecstatic that you're here because you all make my day every day, and I appreciate you coming and listening to me each day. A lot of you, hear quite a bit, and a lot of you are very supportive, and it's very validating. Not that I need other people's validation, but it is enjoyable that we get to banter around about what's happening in the world, and I learn a lot of stuff from you. Hopefully, you learn a few things from me. And let's call the whole thing on because I don't want to call it off because it's too much fun. Anyway, let's say good morning to everyone in the chat, and then we're going to move on and get into the day's news because I'm just not messing around today. Let me unpin this because I can't. I know who's here first. It was first in the chat today was Avocados Diabli, who gets the bell. Thank you for being here today, sir. I appreciate you. As much as more than you know, I suppose. And also good morning to Gunfox61, Jonathan Peterson, Mike Savage, Blarg. Also Select Boys in the house. Also boy. Good morning to, I said Gunfox already. You guys have been chatting up a storm here. Also good morning to legit low talker. I see you. And also good morning Vanessa 1, or is it Vanessa L? I'm not sure if that's a 1 or an L, but good morning to you. Welcome to the Morning Night Live. Also, good morning to Jaeger Pony, my favorite Canadians in the house. Also, Aaron Meredith, what's happening? Good morning to Lord Stanhope. And who else I got here? Well, that's everyone who's chatting so far. If you haven't chatted yet, that's okay. I'm glad you're here too. And we'll get the show on the road. Some people dropping in as we speak. Good morning, Tyler F. Oh, I didn't tweet out the show this morning. Gosh, look at me. What a moron. Anyway, so I'm going to just, let's do this. I'm going to do some little busy work while I'm trying to chat. So, but while I'm doing that, I also want to say, I am so looking forward to my daughter's engagement party this weekend. We have been busting our tails over the last couple weeks. You saw the patio that we built, and now we've done a whole bunch of landscaping around it. Yesterday, I moved 4 yards of mulch, and meaning that I filled the back of my pickup truck twice and spread mulch around all our trees and we have a whole side of the house where it's all tree lined. And so I've got mulch all under that. And that was, quite a job. Although we've been doing this for 3 weeks now, because we did the patio 2 weeks ago, and then we've been doing everything around it. And it's looking really nice, and probably looking better than it ever has in our house, because our backyard was kind of I don't want to say it was a shit show, but it was kind of a shit show. And so now our backyard looks livable, and we might have to stay here for a while, because we were actually considering downsizing. But now it looks so nice, I don't want to leave. All I need now is a pool liner, because we have a leak in this pool thing that we are stuck with. But it's been quite the project. We're really proud of it, and when I get the whole thing done, I'll probably put some pictures of it or some video of it in my outro. Although I did take new outro footage of the gardens that we do, because I have the huge garden in the front of the house, and we have a giant hosta garden along one of our fences, is about 100 feet of hostas. And so eventually it'll be in some pictures somewhere. But anyway, why are weddings sadder than funerals? At a funeral, usually only one life ended. Ouch! Ow! What the hell? That's dark, man. I got to tell you, my life did not end when I got married. My life had a lovely new beginning. Me and Lady Boomer have a happy life, and we've been doing this for 28 plus years. So I wouldn't say that life ended. That's like I said, that's dark, dude. That's wait a minute, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This should be there. All right, I'm almost got this thing done. But let's see. A couple people also just showed up. Good morning to TOS, aka the Shroom, is in the house. Nice to see you. Also, good morning to Black Hebrew Israelite.
That's right.
There we go. I don't know why that button didn't work the first time. And also, good morning to Special K on Acid. Nice to see you all here. I am just finishing up putting out my notifications that I didn't put out so far, so we're getting there. But today, again, we're going to talk about one strange obsession that the media... Well, okay, so there's an article in Vox that someone sent me, and I know it's Vox. That should just by saying the word Vox should tell you enough. But it's talking about an obsession that people have, that the first thing that came to mind was, no. It's not that we have the obsession. It's that I think Vox and a lot of the liberals have an obsession with. So we'll get to that in a minute. But before we do that, let's actually check into some of the news from today. There we go. Okay, so if you do me a favor, if you're on Twitter, Mind, Gab, Parler, Cloud Hub, or Getter, and I just tweeted out the show or posted the show, if you would be so kind to pop over there and do a retweet or something, just to make sure that more people know that we're here. Or you can hit the share button, which is down there somewhere on if you're on a computer, and it's probably up here somewhere. There, up that way. if you're on a mobile device, and please share the stream. That'd be great. All right, and let's see if anyone else new coming to the show. No, we're good. So I'm caught up on the old chat. So let's get into some of the news today. Now, obviously, someone says something's happening in South Africa. South Africa's going to hell. Oh, I'm not. Massive riots in Cuba, 100 feared killed. Oh my gosh, Cuba is my first stop today, because it is getting a little dicey in Cuba. But interesting. Here's just a few tidbits about Cuba to start off with. The Cuban president is blaming the U.S. for social unrest after massive anti-communist protest. Now, it's weird because, again, we had this what seems to be an op in Haiti all of a sudden, and now you've got this thing going on in Cuba. But in Cuba, I think apparently people get Facebook in Cuba. And because I was wondering, how is it that all of these protests pretty much happened simultaneously in Cuba? And it was kind of fascinating. So anyway, the Cuban president is blaming the U.S. Cuban President Miguel Diaz-Canel on Monday accused the U.S. of provoking social unrest in his country one day after thousands of Cubans took to the streets to demand the end of the communist regime that has oppressed and anchored citizens in poverty for decades. It's funny because a lot of people blame us. Thank you, Gun Fox. A lot of people blame the U.S. for Cuba's problems. A lot of people blame the Cuban government for Cuba's problem. But it's not like Cuba doesn't get support from other countries. Even though there was this so-called blockade, it does get a lot from other countries. But anyway, during a live television broadcast, Diaz-Canel said the U.S. has pursued a policy of economic suffocation to provoke social unrest in the country. He suggests that the United States is responsible for inflicting economic misery in Cuba by imposing trade sanctions. The Cuban president also alleged that mercenaries, this is an interesting allegation, that mercenaries hired by the U.S. intentionally manufactured the anti-government protest to destabilize Cuba, according to the BCC. He says, we call on all revolutionaries of the country, all the communists, to go out in the streets where these provocations will occur from now on and in the next few days and face them in a decisive, firm, and courageous way. So anyway, he says, go beat the hell out of them, basically, right? Also, Diaz-Canel's statements came as President Joe Biden expressed support for the demonstrators in their fight against a corrupt authoritarian regime. The United States calls on the Cuban regime to hear their people and serve their needs at this vital moment rather than enriching themselves, Biden said. Bystander videos recorded Sunday depict demonstrators marching and riding bikes and motorcycles, energetically shouting freedom. I know I said freedom because, I know that they're inspired by our multicultural vice president. Anyway, and down with communism, and we are not afraid. So there's a lot of this is one of we saw this one yesterday. We saw a lot of this. Let's see, the story continues. Patria y Vida, translating to Homeland and Life, is also heard amid the crowds. The slogan references a viral song released by a group of Cuban musicians abroad earlier this year that has been used as a message of rebellion by anti-government activists. The song is believed to be a social commentary spoof of Castro's regime operative Che Guevara's Homeland or Death speech at the United National Assembly in 1964. In another tweet, Cuban dissidents are seen flying an American flag. We saw that. It's fascinating because someone said the other day, or yesterday, I think it was great. Maybe we should trade the Cubans who are flying the American flag and professing freedom for the Antifa idiots. Could we do a trade? Like we used to have what do they used to have? What they call the racial draft or something like the racial trade. We could trade the Cubans wanting freedom for the Antifa idiots, and everything would be great, wouldn't it? I think that would be perfect. Individuals dressed in uniforms of the Cuba's national police joined the regime loyalists in throwing rocks at protesters, according to videos recorded by bystanders and other footage in Cardenas, Matanzas, Cuba. Protesters flipped over the car of a high-ranking communist official. And then there's been a couple Republican lawmakers, Marco Rubio and Ted Cruz in particular, who've commented on it. And finally, Joe Biden has broken his silence on Cuba. This is finally. Thousands of protesters took to the street in protest across Cuba on Sunday, demanding an end to the communist government amid the economic crisis and the stupid 19 pandemic. Crowds chanted down with the dictatorship. We know that. So wait, where is it? I should have. Hang on here. President Biden did not respond to the protests on Sunday, and one of his State Department officials twisted the truth about the protest. However, Biden finally broke his silence on Monday. Quote, "We stand with the Cuban people in their clarion call for freedom and relief from the tragic grip of the pandemic." Because the White House is making it all about the pandemic. See, they tried to sell this BS that, well, the Cubans are just mad because they can't getting vaccines. which is hilarious, because remember, Cuba has the greatest, best, most accessible, perfect healthcare in the entire world, according to the UN, because that's what the Cubans self-reported. But anyway, but I guess they're not getting any vaccines for the machine, or the machine for the, not the stupid 19. Anyway, by the way, I do have my cup of Reparation coffee. It's not a Cuban blend, it's a Colombian blend, but it's very tasty and I'm very happy about it. Anyway, let's see. So, for relief from the tragic grip of the pandemic and from decades of repression and economic suffering to which they have been subjected by Cuba's authoritarian regime, Biden said in a statement Monday morning. Well, let's take a look at the statement. Oh, here's more of it. The Cuban people are bravely asserting fundamental and universal rights. Those rights, including the right of peaceful protest and the right to freely determine their own future, must be respected. The United States calls on the Cuban regime to hear their people and serve their needs at this vital moment, rather than enriching themselves. Yes, we heard that one already. And now Americans should celebrate the moral clarity in Biden's statement, although many may take it with a grain of salt, considering the increasing impact of democratic socialism within the president's party. The fact the administration's first response to the Cuban protests did not inspire confidence. Peaceful protests are growing in Cuba as the Cuban people exercise their right to peaceful assembly to express concerns about rising stupid 19 cases and death and medicine shortages, said Julie Chung, acting assistant secretary for the State Department's Bureau of Western Hemisphere Affairs, posted on Twitter Sunday. "We commend the numerous efforts of the Cuban people mobilizing donations to help neighbors in need." Many Cuban Americans rightly excoriated Chung's tweet, which framed Cubans' fight for liberty in terms of the pandemic rather than in terms of fighting for freedom, you moron! Sorry, I just had to yell that out. And then we got the statement from Rubio. We saw that yesterday, so we're going to move on. In the Associated Press, apparently Cubans in Miami are talking about back to the island to help with the protest. Now, I have concerns, but anyway, this is from the AP. By the way, these three articles are all from Gunfox61 on the Discord server. You'll find them there, and you'll also find them in the link below the description, or in the description after the first paragraph. I will have a link. Every story we touch on will be in that link after the show. If you want to find these later and write your own blog post or make your own videos or whatever. So anyway. The United States Coast Guard in Miami is monitoring any activity aimed at increasing unsafe and illegal crossings between Florida and Cuba in response to rare street protests on the island. Rear Admiral Eric C. Jones issued a warning statement Monday night as groups of Cuban immigrants said they plan to travel in boats filled with supplies to Cuba to show support for the Cuban protesters. South Florida has the country's largest population of Cuban Americans. In Miami, Cuban social media personalities posted Monday that they would make the 10-hour boat ride to Cuba to show support after rare street protests broke out over the weekend. According to the Miami Herald, the influencers said they would bring aid and guns and urged people in Miami to offer up their boats. One group gathered Monday night at Pelican Harbor Marina near Miami's North Bay Village, and people brought cases of bottled water, flashlights, and boxes of canned Chef Boyardee pasta, the newspaper reported. Now, I wonder why they're so specific about Chef Boyardee pasta. Does the AP have a endorsement agreement? Why would they? That's the weirdest thing they could have put in there. Why are they bringing boxes of canned Chef Boyardee pasta? I bet that line threw me off there. I'm reading this for the first time in full. Anyway, water, food, medicine, whatever we can take to Cuba, whatever we can take to help is good. Organizer Dennis Soyero told WSVN the group didn't get very far on a rainy Monday night. A message posted on organizer Santiago Rivera's Instagram account early Tuesday said the Coast Guard stopped his group from crossing the straits because of problems with firearms. He promised they would try again to leave Wednesday morning with the permission of authorities in this country. So I'm just saying that takes some cojones. I mean, just saying, you're going to try to, take some boats to Cuba to take supplies and guns. Yeah, I worry about them. Anyway, if you want to read the rest of that one, that'll be in the tab below. Good morning, Renee Mayette, James PFP, John Arnott, Bastard Beast, and there's probably a couple others I missed there, but I'll figure it out later. Hello, nice to see you here. All right, so we'll come back to that real quick. I'm going to not actually do a commercial. I'm just going to tell you the commercial. Please share this stream. If you haven't done so already, hit the like button sometime during the show. And also, if you're not subscribed, if you're new here, hit the subscribe button, click the bell so you make sure you get notifications. And if you want to sponsor the show, you can do through YouTube Super Chats down there, or better yet, at PDawgKnight.live, where the Streamlabs link to do Streamlabs donations, because that doesn't give 30% to Susan. And if you're watching on replay, put a comment in the comment section, or come back and put a comment in the comment section. I always appreciate comments, and I try to get caught up with them at least once or twice a week, because I get behind sometimes on those. Now, one last thing about Cuba, because the New York Post, of course, is critical of Biden, which is not a surprise. They tend to be critical of Biden a lot. But in regard to his late reaction to the Cuban protest, the New York Post believes that it has been a disgrace. The initial Biden administration response to mass rallies for freedom that took place across Cuba on Sunday was a disgrace. As Cubans took to the streets defying the communist regime's totalitarian police, a senior State Department official tweeted that the administration viewed the protest as merely a result of unhappiness about rising COVID cases and deaths in the island country. That's pure. Okay, they say bunk. I would say bullshit. The slogan shouted by thousands who risked imprisonment or worse were about an end to the communist dictatorship installed in the 1950s. Freedom. Enough, they cried. The starvation and shortages that have outraged demonstrators are a direct result of the regime's policies and repression. Some blame the lack of tourism because of the pandemic, but that money was largely funneled into an unaccountable and brutal government, not its long-suffering citizens. CNN Sucks is in the house. I didn't even see you there. Hello there, sir. Nice to have you here. That State Department reaction is in line with the Biden foreign policy team's embrace of every bad policy produced by the Obama administration and its revulsion for anything that happened under President Donald Trump. As was the case with the dangerous nuclear deal with Iran, Obama's ending the U.S. embargo on Cuba was based on the foolish belief that doing so would produce more liberalization. It didn't, and Trump was right to reimpose the sanctions. Finally, on Monday, the Biden issued a statement echoing those previously made by both Republican and Democrats the day before, saying that America stands with the Cuban people and their clarion of call for freedom. That's a good start, but given the regime's efforts to mobilize its supporters to attack protesters and blaming the country's problems on American policies, Biden will need to do more than that. Yes, America doesn't need to intervene in Cuba, but Biden must resist the inevitable push from the left and the foreign policy establishment to aid Cuba's communist government in order to restore the calm that the State Department wants. We need to stand up for the protesters. Yup. The demonstrations prove that any move toward resuming relations or economic ties to Cuba must be directly tied to the democratic and economic reforms that will end communist rule. Anything less than that means co-signing Cuba's people to more decades of misery under a failed tyranny. And that's from Jonathan S. Tobin, who's editor-in-chief of jns.org. Follow him on Twitter, Jonathan_Tobin. Thank you, CNN Sucks, for the first donation of the day at CNN Sucks.
You are the new Streamlabs Superstar sponsor of the day.
Thank you, sir, for the deuce, who says Second Amendment is fundamental because you can vote for socialism, but you have to shoot your way out. Yes, that is why we have our Second Amendment, and hopefully we won't have to shoot our way out of socialism. But I don't know that I'll be here that long, but somebody will, and I don't want my kids to have to deal with it. All right, someone was saying, okay, let me check this out real quick because I want to find out what's happening in South Africa. So I need to open this back up, and oh damn it! Now I always forget. Here we go. That's update. No, inbox. There we go. Let's see what's here, because you sent me the thing linked to South Africa here. As I scroll, oh my gosh, I haven't opened this in a while. There we go. Oh my God, it just keeps going and going and going. Hang on. I seem to not be. Okay, I'm way behind on my inbox because I just learned how to use this. So, okay, here we go. No, that's not it. Okay, hang on. Let me try it there. Hang on a second. Yes, I'm having a boomer moment on Discord because I don't spend as much time on Discord other than in the news section, which, oh, you got a whole bunch of new stuff in here that I haven't even put up here yet. Oh, Missouri woman serving life sentence charged in a second murder. Oh, good Lord. All right, I'm going to have to do this a different way because it's at the bottom. I know. I'm trying to get to the bottom, and it's problem is when you don't go in your inbox enough, you get loaded up with a whole lot of things. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do this. We're going to search Twitter. As soon as my Twitter starts to work. Okay. Oh, South Africa looks like a war zone, according to Jack Prosobiak. I'll just do it over here, and I'll find it later. What the hell is going on here? I'm just gonna go through the thread here. Here's the pictures here. Let's see here. South Africa's
looting continues here in Alex Township. The looting continues unabated. Police keep firing rubber bullets and tear gas, but they are undeterred. They keep running into these buildings, coming out with boxes of stuff. Nothing seems to deter them.
Okay, so Indians in South Africa face racist abuse, violence being incited in South. Okay, so that's okay. What's going on here? Mobs driving away police in South Africa. So those are the places the mobs are attacking them with rocks and different things they're throwing at them. Okay, so what I don't understand here, 10 people have been killed in a stampede in Soweto. Okay, here we go. Here's a Reuters story. Sorry, gang. This is all breaking to me. I haven't heard much about it. Good morning, Random American. Nice to see you. James PFP, what's happening? Worst violence in years spreads in South Africa as grievances boil over. Well, they've been shutting down the country. In Johannesburg, crowds clashed with police and ransacked or burned shopping malls in South Africa on Tuesday, with dozens reported killed as grievances unleashed by the jailing of former President Jacob Zuma boiled over into the worst violence in years. I see. This is going. Good morning, Willett Forge. How you doing? Protests that followed Zuma's arrest last week have widened into looting and an outpouring of generalized anger over inequality that persists 27 years after the fall of apartheid. Poverty has been exacerbated by severe social and economic restrictions aimed at blocking the spread of Stupid-19. Security officials said the government was working to halt the spread of violence and looting, which has so far spread to Zuma's home in KwaZulu-Natal province and Gauteng province surrounding the country's biggest city, Johannesburg. They deployed soldiers onto the streets and tried to contain it, but stopped short of declaring a state of emergency. Quote, "No amount of unhappiness or personal circumstances from our people gives the right to anyone to loot, vandalize, and do as they please and break the law," Police Minister Beheke Chele told a news conference, echoing sentiments expressed by President Cyril Ramaphosa overnight. The bodies of 10 people were found on Monday evening after a stampede at a Soweto shopping mall, Premier David Makura said. Hundreds of looters raided warehouses and supermarkets in Durban, one of the busiest shipping terminals on the African continent and a major import-export hub. Outside a Durban warehouse of retailer GAM, Reuters filmed looters stuffing cars with electronic goods and clothes. Inside the floor was a wreckage of discarded packaging as the crowd systematically emptied the shelves. Aerial footage from local channels ENCA showed black smoke rising from several warehouses while debris lay strewn. Troops were moving into flashpoints on Tuesday as outnumbered police seemed helpless to stop the unrest. Columns of armored personnel carriers rolled down highways. The rand, which has been one of the biggest performing emerging market currencies during the pandemic, dropped to a 3-month low on Tuesday, and local and hard currency bonds suffered. So everything's getting more expensive there. At least 45 people have so far been killed during the unrest, 19 in Gauteng and 26 in KwaZulu-Natal, according to the state and provincial authorities. Police Minister Chele put the official death toll at 10. Wait a minute. At least 45 people have so far been killed, and they put the official death toll at 10. Don't understand. On the streets, protesters hurled stones, and police who responded with rubber bullets, on the streets, protesters hurled stones, and police who responded, that's poor writing, responded with rubber bullets. In Soweto, police and military were patrolling as shop owners assessed the damage. Chele said 757 people have been arrested so far. He said the government would act to prevent it from spreading further and warned that people would not be allowed to make a mockery of our democratic state. Interesting. The violence is spreading. I'm surprised that we're not seeing this more around the world as places have been shutting down for the stupid 19. Let's see. The looting in South Africa continues unabated despite promises from the country's leadership to quell violence. Here's footage from 2 hours ago. Here's more.
This is a situation that requires leadership and it requires people on the ground. In fact, what you're seeing now is also what I am seeing for possibly the first time to this extent. It is absolute chaos. We've flown over these roads before. We have flown over this area before, and we've never seen anything like this. What's even scarier is that what I'm showing you right now is only one small concentrated area in one part of the other. We are talking about an entire province. We are talking about another province which is Gauteng. We are talking about this is really just a microcosm. Hopefully, as we continue to fly over here, we'll also get to show you some of those residential areas that I was talking about. If I had to conservatively put an estimate, to the number of people that we've seen below us now, it would run into either many hundreds or possibly the thousands. And then you have to ask yourself, how many police officers or how many military personnel is it going to take to stop this in the middle of what is happening right now? This is an intervention that now has to come in while this is already underway. It has to come in while these factories are already burning, while all of the supplies that were in these buildings are either out on the roads or they are in people's cars and in people's homes. There are places here where I'm sure you can see that you can barely see the road itself. You are seeing people stealing forklifts. They're stealing equipment so as to transport the stolen goods. We've seen accidents that have taken place because people have been desperately trying to get away.
You know, wow. So,
this is a situation that requires leadership.
There we go. Not good because, you know, as that order breaks down now and all those things that have been taken and all the stuff that's been looted, once it's all gone, then what? It's all gone. Does anyone come back to fulfill what those warehouses were holding? Does anyone, you know, to supply people with actual needed things? So, oh my gosh, that's awful. I thought it was bad in Minneapolis, but although there was a section of Minneapolis that looked like that during the George Floyd stuff going on, but not quite to that extent. But I know the businesses there aren't necessarily coming back either. So, you know, it's just awful. Anyway, good morning, T-Ball. Nice to see you. So we'll get updates on that later in the week. Let's get more news just on hand here that I have ready. UF Afghanistan withdrawal. The top commander has stepped down. Top U.S. and NATO general in Afghanistan has formally transferred control as U.S.-led military mission. The U.S.-led military mission fast approaches its end. After 20 years, General Austin Scott Miller stepped down on Monday, days after President Joe Biden said the U.S. military operations would cease by August 31st. Other NATO countries, including the UK, have withdrawn nearly all military forces ahead of Mr. Biden's U.S. deadline. It comes as Taliban militants seize more territory throughout Afghanistan. Again, the reason they're seizing more territory around Afghanistan is because Biden reneged on the deal that Donald Trump had with them. So they said, F it, we didn't get the deal that completed as we said. And so now they're just saying, we're just going to take over. And so this is going to be a shit show more than it has been for 20 years. And, just because we, you know, originally it was May, what did he say? It was originally May 31st and Biden moves it back. Well, you can't trust the Americans, so let's just do what we're going to do. Crazy. The communists, the businesses have insurance. Yeah, well, and then will the insurance companies allow them to get insurance again in that same location? Probably not. Gosh. Anyway, this comes at the in a simple ceremony on Monday, General Miller handed over his duties to two U.S. generals, one who will oversee U.S. military action from Central Command headquarters in Florida, and one who will command the roughly 650 troops to remain after the official U.S. withdrawal. It's important to me to say farewell, General Miller told the attendees, who included high-ranking Afghan officials. In an emotional final address, our job is now not to forget. That's an interesting way to put it. General Miller was the longest-serving officer to oversee NATO and U.S. forces in Afghanistan, which he called the highlight of his career. Really? What point was... Oh, boy. It's the highlight of your career. I suppose if you have an assignment when you're in the military, I guess that is going to be the highlight of your career, but... I'd like to know what exactly he accomplished there. Anyway, so if you want to read the rest of that, that's the BBC report on it. Let's move on. Now, if you're following NBA basketball, oh, you're not? Well, neither is anybody else. The NBA Finals rankings tank again. I wonder why. I can't imagine why the NBA Finals ratings are tanking. Last year, the NBA media demanded that we discount the 2020 NBA Finals ratings because those finals took place out of season and during a pandemic. So, out of respect, I have erased the 2020 ratings from my mind. This is Bobby Burek. Instead, as the NBA requested 1 year ago, I'm comparing this season's numbers to those from 2019. Good. We're on the same page. When I look at the numbers of 2021 and compare them to 2019, I find that the NBA Finals tanked again. Game 2 of the Bucks-Sun matchup averaged a 9.38 million viewers, down big from 2 seasons ago. The last season that counted, because remember, last year doesn't count. In 2019, Game 2 between the Raptors and Warriors drew 14.05 million, which itself was an epic tank job from 2018's 18.47 million Game 2 equivalent. It just keeps getting worse. Thus far, the 2021 NBA Finals have averaged 8.97 million viewers. That's not good for the NBA. Historically bad numbers, very awful. In order to ameliorate those horrible numbers, NBA media have realized they must now factor in the all-time low 2020 NBA final ratings to make this year's numbers somehow seem less terrible. Yes, the same finals ratings they told us we either had to erase from our memories or we were racist. So anyway, yeah, okay, well, if you're not watching the NBA Finals, neither is anybody else, so don't feel out of place. Moving on, Texas Democrats have fled the state to block the Republican voting law. Now, this is a BBC article, so expect the narrative, although not BBC, maybe not quite the same narrative as some as like the New York Times have had, but I'm sure it's going to be pretty close. Let's see here. Democratic politicians in Texas have left their state en masse in an effort to prevent Republicans there from passing a law to tighten voting rules. Tighten voting rules? Or just make some voting rules? And tighten them from what? From the extra loose rules we had during the pandemic? Anyway, the move will temporarily paralyze the state's House of Representatives, which requires at least 2/3 of the 150 members to be present for a vote. At least 50 House Democrats boarded 2 private jets, of course, from Austin to Washington, D.C. on Monday. The move comes amid a wave of voting restrictions. Restrictions in Republican-led states? Have you read these laws? They're not restrictions. They're just making rules instead of having no rules, like the House Democrat bill H.R. 1 pretty much just wants no rules. The move comes amid a wave of voting restrictions, blah, 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 blah. Republicans argue the measures are essential for election security, but Democrats see them as an attack on the right to vote. Well, on whose right? I'm just curious. Who will these voting laws prevent from voting? They've expanded the amount of time to vote. They've expanded the ways to vote. They've expanded everything, but they're just having some. They have time limits, and they have some common sense, verification, mechanisms that, for whatever reason, Democrats don't like. Sorry, there are rules, and there's always been rules. Hey, do you have to go show up in person to vote still? Nope, they give you ways to not do that, but not without, making sure that you can tell who the hell you are voting, and they just don't like that because they want no rules. They want to be able to harvest ballots and send them out to everybody, and then just collect them all and fill them out themselves. And so there you go. F them. So anyway, the Republican argued the measure, essential for election security. The bill in Texas would ban 24-hour polling places and expand the authority of partisan poll watchers. Partisan poll watch. The first vote is planned later this week. The House lawmakers took off Monday afternoon when they landed in Washington, D.C. The Democrats said they would not return until the 30-day special session had ended next month. Under Texas House rules, absent politicians can be arrested and returned to the House floor, but the authority responsible does not have jurisdiction outside of Texas. So here they are on their flight out of Texas. These fucking lunatics. The BC is not responsible for the content of external site. Anyway, in response to the exodus, Texas House Speaker Dade Phelan, a Republican, said the House would use every available resource to secure a quorum. Texas Democrats are again attempting to prevent state Republicans from passing new voting restrictions. And where they're going says everything about their ultimate objective. This fight, in their view, will be won or lost in Washington, D.C., where Democrats have control, not in Texas, where Republicans call the shots. And not only could federal legislation override the proposed changes to Texas voting laws. I don't think so. I don't think the courts will allow that, but we'll see. It would also block enacted measures in Georgia, Arizona, and other key presidential battleground states. There has been concern among liberals that the Biden administration is not taking seriously the threat state-level voting laws pose to Democratic candidates in forthcoming elections and has not shown willingness to take aggressive action in Congress to push through new national rules. No, there are no national rules. Look at the Constitution. Every state decides how they're going to send their representatives to Washington, D.C., including the president, and they get to choose how they do it. There are no national rules other than you have to be X number of years old to vote. But anyway, it is, however, a symbolic move. It probably only delays the inevitable in Texas and is unlikely to change the dynamic of Washington, where the Republican Senate minority has more effective means to block the Democrats than simply leaving town. Yeah, so the same party that wants to end the filibuster is effectively filibustering law in Texas, thinking that if they wait till the end of the special session, they won't have to vote on it. Let's see how that all turns out. I wonder if they're all prepared to stay away for 30 days. If every one of those legislators can stay away from Texas for a full 30 days, I would say, you know what? You're not here. Cut off the paychecks. That would be a good start. You're not getting your check because you're not showing up for work. Biatch. All right, let's keep going. Now, interesting. Oops, close that. Let's talk a little bit about inflation because we got to talk about that. What the hell is that? Let's get Candace off my screen. She's always on my screen somehow, and that's not on purpose. So CNN Business reports that everything is costing you more right now, if you haven't noticed, except for your 4th of July celebration, which the Biden administration proudly said you saved 16 cents this year. Yes, an entire 16 cents. Go out and buy as much Bitcoin you can with your 16 cents, or gold, or some other asset. Maybe real estate. You can buy 16 cents worth of real estate. Anyway, car prices are through the roof. That's why I'm putting a new engine in my truck eventually. Hope I can afford it. These are other pricey parts of the new American life. There is no escaping it. Prices are rising across the board, including all the essentials: food, clothing, and shelter. American home prices are up 20% over the past year. Yes, I know that because when we went to refinance our house and we started getting comparables around our neighborhood, we're like, what? Our house is worth what now? Holy crikeys, whatever. You know what I'm trying to say. American home prices are up 20% over the past year. Price of food eaten outside the home were up more than 4% in June over the past year, and apparel prices rose nearly 5% over the same period. And that's not all. Virtually every aspect of American life is getting pricier. A key measure of inflation just hit a 13-year high. Here's a look at 3 ways everyone is paying more. Starting with buying a car. The car prices are through the roof. At the start of the pandemic, factories shut down and car supply sharply declined. A year later, COVID-induced closures are still sending shockwaves through the auto industry. Add in the global chip shortage, inhibiting the production of new cars and buyers who are eager to buy cars, and you've got a perfect supply and demand storm driving prices up. In May, the average new car price hit a record $38,255, according to J.D. Power, up 12% from the same period a year ago. About 2/3 of car buyers paid within 5% of the sticker price in May, with some paying even more. With such a short supply, car dealers are less likely to offer their unusual deals this year. Matt Diggin, an editor at Kelley Blue Book, told CNN Business. Now, it's funny. I was watching a news report. So there was this, it was a truck, because I have a truck, and I'm like, gosh, do I just put a new engine in my truck or do I buy a new truck? And I can't afford to do either one, but I'm going to do it anyway. And because I need a new truck, because my truck has to run, and the engine's it has 178,000 miles, and the engine's dying. What do they call it? The timing chain's messed up, and could be it's either the $4,000 repair or just go $7,000 and put a new engine in it, and I have my truck. But trying to find a new truck or even a used truck right now is damn near impossible. So I'm watching this report. I don't know what it was on some news show. And they were showing that this truck that listed at like $67,000, right? Brand new truck, had gone out $68,000 or $67,000 for this new truck. And it came back. It was, I don't know if they used it for a lease or whatever, but they came back and it's in the used section now, right? It had I think maybe 4,000 miles on it. For whatever reason, it only had 4,000 miles on it. And the used price on that truck that listed new for $67,000 whatever dollars was $68,300 and something dollars. The used truck that came back with 4,000 miles on it was listed for more than it was new. Now that never happened, or it used to never happen, but apparently, I was talking to the guy when I was going to get my truck fixed, right? And he said, "Yeah, you might as well just put a new engine. You can't buy this truck right now. There are none. They're gone, or they're ridiculously expensive." So seems like I'm gonna have to put a new engine in my truck. So that's yay. Anyway, so I'll figure it out. But anyway, that's crazy. And fortunately, in the truck that I have, the body is doing real good. There's not very much rust on it. There's a couple small rust spots that I'm gonna do some treatment on and whatever. So yeah. You can't buy cars right now. Anyway, if you're looking for a deal, sorry, but you're probably not going to get one. In 2019 and in 2020, when car sales were opened up, dealers were desperate to sell cars. Deegan said this year, because of the supply and demand problem, they don't have to make deals because they're going to sell cars even without those deals. The other thing, go drive around and look at the used car lots, not necessarily the ones that are part of a dealership, but when I was driving around Omaha last month, so we go, I'm driving around, I'm looking at these used car lots. The used car lots hardly have any cars in them because people aren't even selling people are probably selling their used cars on their own, but holy smokes. The inventory is just terrible for used cars. And it's not, here, speaking of which, in the article, it's not just the new car market that's all out of whack. NewEdmunds.com analysis for CNN Business showed that some one-year-old cars are selling for more now than they were new. The average resale price is 95% of the original price, according to analysis. Dealers don't have enough cars to fill their lots and sell to buyers, and buyers aren't seeing the options they want on dealers' lots. So used cars are taking the place of new cars that aren't available right now. So when is a good time to buy a car? Probably not anytime soon, according to Deegan. Our analysis is looking at possibly later this year, but it could go into next year. It all depends on supply chains, Deegan said. Now, what else is costing you more? Wait, real quick. Let me do this super chat. Thank you, Select a Boy.
Yeah, boy.
Who said with the Deca? I'll call it the Deca, aka a 10. Why is it that folks say that presidents have nothing to do with gas prices, yet seem to forget the reason why gas prices are rising? Good point. Because Biden and his talk about pipelines. I was watching or listening to a bunch of YouTube shorts while I was at work this morning, and one of them was talking about Biden talking about infrastructure, saying that 1 in 5 miles of every road is in shambles, and that the pipelines are average of 60 years old and probably leaking all over the place. I'm like, wait a minute. Aren't you the guy that just canceled one pipeline project and you're starting to look at another one going through northern Minnesota? You're looking at canceling that one too. That's just a repair or an upgrade of an old pipeline system. And but you're talking about infrastructure pipelines. Well, guess what? Shutting down just one pipeline project probably has a pretty good effect on gas prices. Anyway, thank you, Select a Boy, for your response to the show. I greatly appreciate you. Another thing where you're spending more money, if you want to take a weekend road trip, what if you want to take advantage of being vaccinated and head out on a weekend getaway? Well, rental car prices are rising too. Daily car rental rates have increased 86%. Are you kidding me? Compared to this time last year, and 140% more than, oh my gosh, 140% more to rent a car than in 2019, which is the last time I rented a car. Holy crap. Yeah, we rented cars to go up down to the California coast and back into Vegas. I did not know that. Whew, be worth it to fix the truck. Daily car rental rates are 140% more than 2019, according to Julie Hall, spokesman for AAA. Blame supply chain disruptions for rental car price changes too. At the start of the pandemic, rental car companies had to fight to stay afloat, renting cars for a fraction of their normal prices and selling off fleets as used cars. By the time that people started getting vaccinated and traveling again, rental car companies' inventories were significantly lower than pre-pandemic standards. To make matters worse, automakers are limiting the number of cars they're selling to fleet customers like rental companies because of chip shortages. Yeah, the other thing that someone told me, thank you, John Arnott, for the tray. With no message, but I appreciate you sponsoring the show. Greatly there. And good morning to Asian Research Directorate. And Kiever Dam, how you doing, my friend? And I'm kind of caught up there. I hope I caught everybody. Yeah, the other thing the guy told me when we were talking about getting to put an engine in my truck is there are just like the car manufacturers have these giant, I won't call them graveyards, but these giant lots, thousands of cars sitting waiting for chips. They produce all these cars, but they don't have all because every car has a computer, 3 or 4 or 5 different computers in them trying to run things and coordinating everything. And there's a chip shortage. They can't even finish up so many of these cars. So they're limiting the number of cars they're selling to fleet customers because of that. If you're planning to rent a car this summer, book early, remain flexible with timing, and pick up locations as much as possible, and work with a travel agent, Hall told CNN Business. No, I'm not working with a damn travel agent. Anyway, but let's say you get lucky and find a rental car. Now you have to get gas. Since the start of the year, national gas price average increased 40% from $2.25 on January 1st to $3.13, according to Hall. Don't expect the record-breaking highs to stop anytime soon. Average gas prices are expected to rise as well to over $3.25 by the end of the summer. AAA reported travel over July 4th weekend that surpassed even pre-pandemic records. High demand for gas and low supply, resulting from a shortage of truck drivers and oil, will continue to drive prices up. If you can get past high price of rental car and the cost of gas, you'll need to figure out a hotel too. Over the last 4 weeks, the average daily rate for hotels hit $130.90, up from $95.37 over the same period last year, according to data from STR, Global Hospitality Data and Analytics Company. Now, maybe I just got lucky when I went to Omaha, because I did get a pretty good deal on the hotel rooms for a couple nights. So I must have got lucky there. Anyway, even though prices are up since last year in 2019 before the pandemic, average daily rates this month were $132.99, a little higher than they are now. Now, also, if you are, thank you, Lou Swimming. Thank you, Lou, for the $4.69. Lou, Swimming, that sounds like, almost sounds like a Swahili last name. Anyway, Lou Swimming says, I got a nice used car for sale, 90 years old, 3 owners, and it's got a great heater in the summer. Thank you, Lou Swimming. Appreciate that. I got a feeling that there's a dog involved there. I don't know why. There's just whenever I see that, I'm positive there's a dog involved. Also, good morning to someone I just saw Furry Kitten's in the house. Nice to see you. If you are entertaining, which I'm going to be doing this next weekend. Well, I did last weekend and 3 weekends ago too. But anyway, if you want to celebrate the return to normalcy, hosting a party or gathering might be a good alternative. Be prepared to compromise on your wish list and shorten your guest list, though. The demand for events such as weddings. Oh, gosh. Yeah, that's one of the reasons that my daughter and future son-in-law are waiting till next year. Hopefully things will go go down somewhat then. Or just they're planning way in advance. So we're, oh my gosh, I got to pay for a wedding. Wait, no, I'm celebrating that. I'm more than happy to lay down some dimes for a wedding, because I'm so excited that my daughter's marrying our lovely Jess. We love him. Anyway, the demand for events such as weddings, corporate events, and family gatherings. Now, here's why this is skyrocketed. Because everyone postponed their stuff from last year because they couldn't do it because of the pandemic. And I bet you that's in this article. The demand for events such as weddings, corporate events, and family gatherings has skyrocketed in the past few weeks. Amid a shortage of supply and shortage of labor, hosts and guests should lower their expectations and be ready to find other options. Heidi Hiller, creative director at Innovative Party Planning in Baltimore, Maryland, told CNN Business. It's affecting us big time, Hiller said. We're well aware that people are coming in and asking us to design and produce an event that is within weeks of their request, but the product is not moving quickly, so that's causing rush shipping charges and rush everything charges on top of the product already costing a little more. Okay, let me just backtrack here. The events that we will be hosting we're hosting at our home, and so just the price of food and stuff is coming up. But this particular engagement party, my daughter has made it potluck, so all I have to worry about is hot dogs and brats, and it's just an afternoon thing by the pool on their new patio and all our new landscaping, so won't be that expensive. But anyway, if you're having an event like a wedding or a big to-do, something like, for example, if your high school reunion is this year, your high school reunion committee is going to be spending a little bit more than they're used to, or that they would have if it had been 2 years ago. Now, many contracts have an equal substitute exception because vendors can't promise they will have enough product or labor to deliver a set amount of goods. Hiller said the show must go on, though, so vaccinated customers aren't letting shortages or rising prices stop their plans to reunite with family and friends. To accommodate for costs and shortages, hosts are lowering guest counts and finding substitutes for what they initially wanted, according to Hiller. The expectations of guests are less, too, so it's okay not to have everything you thought you were going to have if it's going to cost you too much to still have that party. Even if you opt for a smaller gathering, sans party planner, you'll probably still encounter higher prices. Let's say you want to host a party at a restaurant. The price for food away from home rose 0.07% in June. If you'd rather stay in and host at your place, prices are probably higher too. As we well know, prices of food at home increased 0.8% last month. Specifically, meats, poultry, fish, egg prices are to blame, but with a 2.5% increase. If you've tried to buy beef lately, holy smokes. like steaks that used to be like $6.99 a pound are now $20.99 a pound. If you're trying to buy, it's crazy. It's crazy how much, especially beef, but even beef and chicken have risen significantly. Pork is still fairly about the same as it was, not completely the same, but over a year ago. Regardless of food prices, though, people still have to eat, so the best option is to try to substitute even the most expensive goods when possible. Edward Yardini, president of the Yardini Research, told CNN Business, "I don't see that having a party at home is different than having a meal at home. Whatever food you're going to buy has gone up in price. One good substitute might be serving frankfurters, which decreased 0.6% in price last month instead of other meats." Okay, that explains the Biden administration's focus on your 4th of July meal, which the entire meal should cost you 16 cents less than last year because hot dogs are cheaper. That's it. That's all. King on Common Law. Nice to see you, my friend. All right. So anyway, everything costs more. All right. Now this is kind of humorous. So here's the Washington Post and how the media, and Joel Pollack put this out here, love how the media are spinning inflation as a wonderful sign of economic progress under Biden. Here is the Washington Post quote. This is pathetic. Prices rose 5.4% in June compared to last year as inflation pressures reflect a revved up economy. Wow. That's fantastic. That's fantastic. The revved up economy. See, the problem though is when the economy gets too revved up, prices go up. So, and all those, supposedly minimum wage jobs that you can't try and find a minimum wage job in a big city. Like you're trying to find one. There's no such thing right now. I mean, I know that around here that the fast food restaurants are getting up to already $15 an hour without a mandate. They don't even need it. I know the warehouse jobs near where I work, there's some of them are started at 18, 20, 22 bucks an hour. I mean, because they can't find people who want to work. So maybe Biden was right. They just went and got people to pay more, and now they're starting to get people. Anyway, hot dog bills, yet another Obama callback. Yes, there you go. Apparently the prices of lately pointless news pieces have not gone up, seeing as how they could have summed this up with everything is more expensive. Oh, yes, true. And I probably probably hung on to that article a little too long. Anyway, yeah, there's a pressures reflect a revved up economy under the tutelage of Biden. All right. Oh, great. Prince Harry and Meghan Markle receive an environmental award for pledging to have only 2 children. Okay, we're going to skip that. Let's get into the main topic today. Since I'm way late. So, because I saw that Check Your Logic, good morning, sir, by the way, has asked, obsession of what? Well, Jedi Ghost Bear, I appreciate you tagging me in on this particular piece of hell. So this is a site called All Sides. All Sides, and there was a tweet from All Sides that was talking about an article in Vox, how American parents became obsessed with gender. Now, by the way, Lou Swimmin.
You are the new Streamlabs Superstar sponsor of the day.
Thank you for sponsoring the channel today. I appreciate you very much. Lou Swimmin. Lou Swimmin. Yes, Lou Swimmin. Maybe that's a Lithuanian name. Swimmin? Swimmin? That sounds like, it kind of sounds Lithuanian. Swimmin. Maybe it's Lithuanian? Swahili? Peruvian? I don't know. Swimmin'. Lou Swimmin'. Anyway, thank you, Lou Swimmin'. I've been saying that all my life. Anyway, all right. So this is a Vox article, and you know what? It's funny because American parents have become obsessed with gender. I think our entire society has become obsessed with gender, but in probably a different way than this particular Vox writer wrote. But I had to go through this article today because it is pure old-time cringe with a topped with special sauce. And I just had to. And so this is what the title of the program is today, Obsession, and this is it. How American parents became obsessed with gender. And the subtitle is, I'm not the type to throw a gender reveal party, but like many parents, I still got sucked into the spectacle of the ultrasound. Really? Now, this is going to be, just please prepare yourself. This is a Vox article. Just, So this is somebody named, what is her name? Amanda Monte. Amanda Monte. When I was pregnant with my first child, I agonized over my decision to find out the sex. Now, I always find this fascinating because people talk about, or the current, not people, the current orthodoxy of gender talks about how, gender is a social construct. And, you can't reveal the gender of a child when they're a child because when they talk about assigning, they were assigned a gender at birth. No, they were not assigned a gender at birth. They were a sex of your child was revealed, right? Revealed, not assigned. Revealed, unless there is some, ambiguous sex organs and some other problems, the other extra chromosome things that they do. But it was revealed. It was not assigned. Okay. Now this whole the whole gender thing they've been doing lately is they assign yourself a gender, but later on, but your sex is revealed when you are born or when you get the ultrasound. But let me just continue because this cringe is going to tell you a lot more. So anyway, she agonized over the decision to find out the sex. I knew that anatomy does not indicate gender identity, but I was also impatient, ready for some forecast, however unreliable, of what the future might hold for me as a mother. Now, how unreliable? So let's say, you figure out what the sex of your unborn child is, or even when they're born, you find out what the sex of the child is. How is it unreliable as far as what their gender is? Because you got to remember, a very tiny percentage of people are transgender, although they got a lot of people out there now that because it's very trend. I hate to say it's trendy, but it is trendy. And there's so many kids out there who just, you get so much attention when you decide that you're something other than what your sex is. So I understand that part. But how is it actually unreliable to those of us who just say, you know what, that's your sex? It's not unreliable. But anyway, even if that tiny percentage that actually determines that they are transgender, however they come to that determination, there's not just one way they do that. Trender. Anyway, but I was impatient and ready for some forecast, however unreliable, of what the future might hold for me as a mother. Having grown up as a girl in America, I knew that gendered wars I might be up against if I were to have a daughter. Really? Gender war? Is it that bad? Ladies in my chat, is it really that bad being a girl in America? I like to be in America. I am curious. Gender and gender identity are two different things. Yeah, see, there are, again, you're right. Thank you, Avocados Diablo. Yes, it's so, just the start of this is crazy. Anyway, I wanted to prepare myself for the fight. So she's going to have a fight if she has a daughter because of the gendered wars she might be up against if she were to have one. At my second trimester ultrasound, I decided to find out. Well, good for you. Yes. Oh, that one. There, you decided to find out. Good for you. But then things got weird. Nancy, the bubbly sonogram technician, projected the inside of me on a screen that covered an entire wall, dimming the lights like we were in a movie theater. She kept saying, "That's a cute baby." I had no idea what she was looking at as she furiously clicked and numbered and measured different parts of the fuzzy gray blob on the screen. Oh, it's your baby's just a fuzzy gray blob, huh? Good for you. With much excitement, she proclaimed the fetus was a girl. Is it just me, or is it weird to call the future child, your future offspring inside of you, as because you're going to keep it. It's not like you're going to, do that thing, to call it a fetus. Most people would just say my baby, but no, she calls it the fetus inside of me. Huh? As if it's not a human being. It's just a fetus or something. It's just a gray blob, right? Good Lord. With much excitement, she proclaimed that the fetus was a girl. The fetus. Still, again, she's calling it a fetus. Her child inside growing in her, in there, it's just a fetus, was a girl. She then printed a 3-foot ream of black and white pictures, each with an unidentifiable area circled, which she folded and tucked into a white envelope with gold writing that reminded me again, it's a girl. Yay! It felt like I was supposed to do something with this information. I had never entertained the idea of throwing a gender reveal party, but I still surfed ideas on Pinterest. There's your problem right there. And one image, I found a couple stood, hands interlocked. Their white clothing, faces, and arms were splattered with pink from a staged paint fight, just one shade away from looking like they committed a murder together. Oh, thanks for being so engrossed in their joy. Hello, Jesse Leon. Just one shade. Okay, I said that. But as I shared the news, there was a lot of excitement that did not line up with how I felt. After receiving one too many frilly infant dresses with animal prints, I quickly prohibited family and friends from giving me gendered clothing. I wondered how I had been sucked into such a clear affirmation of the gender binary. Oh no! Not the gender binary! Now here's, okay, just don't take a drink right now. This next line is interesting, to say the least. Just to hold off, just swallow what's in your mouth now and listen to this next line. American parents love fetal genitalia. Yes, it actually says that. This has become more evident with the number of gender reveal parties increasing steadily over the past decade. You know what's funny about this? Okay, so yeah, the gender reveal parties are obviously a fad that's big right now, whatever, but is it just me? or long. In fact, I'm thinking 26 years ago when we had our first child, we didn't have a gender reveal party, but we were, we're like, okay, do we want to know the sex of our first child or not? And yeah, it kind of gave us some time to plan and decide what to cut in the room and stuff. But everyone's curious of whether or not their child is a male or female. I didn't say boy or girl because of you idiots who won't let me call them a boy or girl anymore, but that's a boy or girl. We want since, in fact, when my sister had her child 40 something years ago, there was an interest in whether or not it was a boy or girl. When the people in the 1800s were having in the farmhouse with the what's it call those things? Those, not wet nurse, not what do you call them? The people who birth babies that came over and they pulled the child out of the woman and they're like, oh, is it a boy or a girl? I'm pretty sure back in 12 BC, when before even Jesus was born, they pulled the baby out of the woman and they're like, is it a boy or girl? It's not like this is new. What the hell are you talking about? But now that we can find out before the child comes out, that's so people find out earlier. It's not like people weren't always interested in whether or not the child was a boy. Thank you, midwife. It was a boy or girl or not. Hello, Resolute Gem. I didn't even see you there. Forever, people are wondering, is it a boy or girl? That doesn't mean whether or not you find out before or after the baby comes out of the, vagine. Anyway. Now she continues. So wait, American parents. Okay, this has become more evident as the number of gender reveal parties increased steadily over the past decade. Yes, it's a fad now that people do this because you get to find out before you have the child. Usually it's more extreme. It's the more extreme ones that make the news. Such parties have already caused at least 4 deaths this year, and one burned over 7,000 acres of my home state in California. Well, hello, Debbie Downer. Whoops. Many go off with less of a bang, like the couple I found on Pinterest getting silly string by friends as the parents kissed, tangled in their boy-kid bliss. There are more than 500,000 videos on YouTube like these. It's safe to say these parents are a little less conflicted about their sonograms than I was. Well, you have a problem. By the way, that line, American parents love fetal genitalia. Oh, good God. Oh, good God. I don't know what made her think of that, but I don't think it has anything with their genitalia. It's about the love of the child. And they just curious what's about to be before they get the thing coming out the thing or before the knives start cutting people and shit. Anyway, she continues, some parents revel in knowing their child's gender because many still believe prenatal sex is an early indicator of a child's character. What? What? I need that. Who's that the dude that says, what? John something, John Tron, whatever. What? What? I need that on my soundboard. What? No, nobody thinks the gender of their child is an early indicator of the child's character. No, they don't. What the fuck are you talking about? Pregnancy is such a strange state of suspension. Any scrutable glimpse of the future is attractive. Well, okay, yeah, okay. As Christy Olszewski, director of the Yale Gender Program. Oh my God, thank God they have a gender program at Yale. Good thing they're not just teaching people how to, do calculations for, things that are important like building bridges and shit. No, we have a gender program. Told me finding out a child's prenatal sex can feel like solving a mystery, a piece of comfort, and a way to have an answer about being parents. Have yet to know and learn about. Yeah, okay. Ultrasounds satiate that parental curiosity. Yes, because everybody has the curiosity, whether it's on the sonogram or whether it's through the birth, after birth. Everyone wants to know just because they're curious. It's the natural thing to go, okay, does this child, because you're not going to have an antelope, right? Or a ferret. It's going to be a baby human that has the one sex or the other. They're curious. People are going to be curious whether or not it's before or after the birth. Okay. Anyway. Okay. Maybe this is why even parents like myself who don't identify as the type of photograph themselves on a deserted road consumed by a bubble gum pink smoke grenade cannot help but hem and haw over the decision of whether to find out the fetus's sex before birth. For pregnant people, okay, I loved how she phrased that. That just tells you, hello, Uncle Bad Touch. How you doing, man?
Come on, man.
For pregnant people, the politics of navigating the ultrasound and the insight it promises has become its own rite of passage, and it comes with some coercion. Well, no, I mean, it's interesting. Most people just find out because you can now. If you couldn't find out, you wouldn't. You would wait till they were born. But now that you can find out, people like to plan ahead. They like to decide what kind of things they're going to put up in the room. Anyway. Oh, that's right. You're not supposed to do gendered shit with children. Anyway, there's so much pressure from society, Olazeski said, to know the sex of the fetus. Stop calling it a fetus. These are babies that want to be born, that people want. It's whatever. She continues, I spoke with nearly 30 parents about their choice to learn their baby's sex in pregnancy or wait. Some simply wanted to know the sex of the child before birth for practical reasons, like Jenny, who identifies as an Ashkenazi Jew. She needed time to prepare for circumcision. She also felt waiting would make the finals reveal a bigger deal in the minds of family members, something she wanted to avoid. Those who had previously experienced reproductive losses or complications, meanwhile, thought finding out the sex of their baby would provide something beyond medical data that knowing might lend some certainty to their budding story. Bronwen, a writer then living in the Bay Area, told me she created a whole pro-con matrix analyzing the benefits and downsides of waiting or not. Ultimately, she found out her ultrasound, hoping it would relieve some of the anxiety she felt after multiple miscarriages. Learning the sex represented a kind of investment rather than the self-protective, this is a science experiment approach she had taken previously. Co-founder of Mother Nation, Kate Zogby, said she and her... Okay, I'm going to start over because I just caught me off guard. Co-founder of Mother Nation, Kate Zogby, said she and her wife planned not to find out the sex before birth, but when Zogby learned she was pregnant with twins, she and her partner very comically regressed to the reptilian part of the brain that needed to be reassured of survival. Knowing everything we could about who was in there gave us a sense of control. However false, she said. She and her wife knew that sex did not correlate to gender, but Zogby was struggling with perinatal depression and felt naming, usually family names that happened to be very gendered, was an added avenue for connection. Well, if you don't, you fuck with your kid if you don't name them with a gendered name when they're born, whatever. If they want to change it later because they decide they are not that gender, that's their business when they turn 18, because I don't think kids under legal age should be able to do that, but that's just me. Anyway, this idea that the revelation of a baby's sex can feel like a surprise, welcome or not, is something I heard from many mothers, including those who waited for the big reveal until after their baby was born. A Christian mother of 4 whose husband works in the church told me, I think it just feels more special waiting longer. That feeling of holding your child with the news is better than simply being told. Well, no. No matter when it happens, and I understand why she might feel that, but no matter when you find out the sex of your child, it's going to be a surprise whether you find out pre-birth or post-birth. So it's still a surprise. It's just, you know, it has a different, some people just have a different connotation. Anyway, when I was pregnant, other women who opted to wait to find out the gender often repeated to me a similar line as a way to encourage me to do the same. It is one of the last great surprises in life. It's going to be a surprise no matter when you do it. Sorry, I disagree with that, so I'm just saying. I was troubled by this rationale, which implies there are only two choices, early gratification or delayed. And what exactly is the revelation here? This logic seems to assume to know the biological sex is to crown the baby as a person. But what does it say about the understanding of personhood that we feel the urge to assign a baby a gender before we can imagine them as a human? Well, you didn't imagine them as a human. You kept saying fetus. So I'm not really sure if you really feel that way or not, because you kept calling that thing in your body the blob of gray, you know, your baby, anyway. And why are we so desperate for connection this early in the long game of parenting? Well, why wouldn't you? Do you not have a connection to the child that's inside you? I think maybe even me, when I was, again, with our first kid who's going to be married next year, I had a connection whether or not we knew the sex of the child or not. But while inside, even before Laura started showing, there's always the connection. I don't get it. Why so desperate for a connection? Because you want a connection with your child. Are you not human, woman? I don't get it. Our cultural obsession with attempting to identify sex and gender in pregnancy all goes back to the ultrasound. No, it goes back to the beginning of time. Everyone from the beginning of time is curious what the sex of that child is, whether you find out during an ultrasound or if you found out the Middle Ages that it came when the midwife pulled the child out. I said thing, but well, in your case, it might be a thing because you did call it a baby when it was in you. Anyway. But here we go. Now, here's the here's another obsession that people like this have. By the 1980s, the surveillance of pregnant people's bodies had become routine medical practice as the technology allowed doctors to check for congenital and placental issues. But it also nurtured another embryonic idea. The new vision of the fetus as child. The ultrasound eventually commingled with, what do you think the ultrasound eventually commingled with? Don't look at your screen. And it's an obsession that we have, and people like this would have. I'm going to give myself 10 seconds because there's a delay and I'm almost out of time. And I want you to put an answer. The ultrasound eventually commingled with what? Put any word that you can think of that you if you know how people like this think, you know what the next word is, but you probably have no idea. Just pop a word out there. The ultrasound eventually commingled with something that the left is really obsessed with right now and probably is the answer for everything. Okay, we'll see if any of you got it because this is as long as I'm going to put this in here. The ultrasound eventually commingled with capitalism and mainstream psychology to create the color-coded gendered consumerism that has likewise become routine in America. For centuries, white dresses and long hair were the norm for kids under 6 in most Western countries. White clothes were easy to bleach. In the early 20th century, American clothing companies pushed pastels, debating blue for blue-eyed babies, pink for brown-eyed ones, among other arrangements. And by the 1940s, manufacturers and retailers had arbitrarily settled on pink for girls and blue for boys. In the 1980s, clothing corporations saw the information parents gleaned from the sonogram as a chance to expand into a catalog of not just apparel, but matching baby gear. Late capitalism took it from there. Yes! It's always about capitalism. The ultrasound also forever transformed the way we think about maternal bonding. In her book, The Public Life of the Fetal Sonogram, Janelle Taylor says the idea that the sonogram could help pregnant women learn to love their babies was initially based on a 1982 study led by ultrasound advocate Stuart Campbell, even though the word bonding never appears in his study. The study instead examined how the sonogram influences compliance with healthcare recommendations. Well, you know what? Because it makes it real for you, I guess. So I understand why it would help you make sure that you're just taking care of yourself. So is that a bad thing? I don't know. I think that's a good thing. Interestingly, the study excluded women who were considered high risk, which Taylor suggests shows that the medical community had other interests besides improving maternal health. Did they now? I don't know. That's just some cynical bullshit to me. The Campbell study came on the heels of a decade of heated abortion debate. A year later, an unsupported opinion letter. See, when they say unsupported, that means that they disagree with it, and so they call it unsupported. Anyway, an unsupported letter written by the editor of the New England Journal of Medicine, which suggests that ultrasounds might help women bond with their babies and therefore decide not to abort, further shifted the frame of maternal health and inadvertently spoon-feeding anti-abortionists a new tactic. The wider medical community also began referencing that, well, yes, because you learn more about what that thing inside you is doing and the heart beating and the movement and whatever, and it makes it more real to you. So I can understand why that might be a tactic of anti-abortion people who say it's a baby, not just a fetus. Anyway, the wider medical community also began referencing the New England Journal of Medicine letter as a study that provided proof of the ultrasound's magic, investigating how women bond with their babies in pregnancy rather than during childbirth or in the postpartum period. While the 1970s theories of maternal-infant bonding were embraced by the natural birthing movement, maternal-fetal bonding theories rested on the assumption that women in the era of legalized abortion couldn't be trusted to love their babies without the assistance of technology and medical professionals. Really? Is that what they were doing? Are they saying that women never bonded with their babies before they could see the sonogram? I'm skeptical. As long as they knew what was in there and the thing kicking them in the bladder all the time, you'd think they would have some sort of bond with it. Or just get this thing out. Anyway, as Taylor writes, the more radical suggestion was that emotional and social ties between the mother and child might form in an altogether new manner, though not through physical and social interaction, but through spectatorship. Oh my good God. All right. There's a lot more, and I'm not going to finish this, but now the fact though that they said American parents became obsessed with gender. We're in a gender obsessed world right now that some people use gender to get attention, or that, holy shit. Good God. All right, guys, I'm going to skip. There's one more article that'll be in the tab today, just how critical race theory battles are driving frustrated and exhausted educators out of jobs. People are leaving the teaching profession. My first reaction was good, but I don't know. I haven't read the whole article, so maybe I'll drop into this one tomorrow. But there are a lot of teachers who seem to be leaving the profession because they're mad about the people who are complaining about the critical race theory creeping into education around the school, around the world, around the country. But but hopefully we'll have time for that one tomorrow. And then also there is one more article about one of my state senators, which I definitely going to talk about tomorrow, because this we did back, I can't remember if it might have been a full year ago, but remember we did the story where the Black Lives Matter were out in Hugo, Minnesota, protesting the president of the Minnesota Police Officers Association. And they were out in his little town called Hugo, Minnesota, which is about 40 miles north of the Twin Cities. And they all decided to drive out and protest in his neighborhood. And they were talking about they don't care if they burned Hugo down, this little town, right, where the guy lives. And one of our Minnesota State senators was the guy leading that protest. Well, we got some news about him, and I'm just going to save it for you tomorrow. I'll thank Gamer Valine for putting that one in my inbox. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, it is time for me to call it a day. Before you go, please, please, please hit a like button, because I got 51 people here now and there's only 32 likes. So hit the like button before you drop out, and share this stream, whether you're bored during or after, or those of you watching on the replay, please put a comment in the comment section. Also, if you want to sponsor the show, you know how. It's down there in the description. I'm not going to tell you that one again. You guys have been very generous, and I appreciate it. But that's it for today, people. It's time for me to go. My name is PDawgKnight. And I'm out of here. Bye-bye.
Hey, this is PDawgKnight, and thank you for watching today on the PDawgKnight channel. If you have an observation or remark you'd like to make about this video or my channel, I absolutely welcome you to write it in the comment section down below. I really look forward to hearing from you. And before you go, if you like what you saw but you're not already subscribed, please make sure you hit the subscribe button and definitely click that bell that pops up afterwards so you'll be notified when I post new videos or when we go live. I broadcast my live show, The Morning Night Live, Monday through Friday at 10 o'clock Eastern, 9 o'clock Central. A special thank you to all the supporters of this channel who share our videos on social media and who make donations through Streamlabs, YouTube, Venmo, and Cashapp, which are all linked in the description down below. Thanks again, and until next time, I'm PDawgKnight, and I'm out of here.